Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for Tuesday, July 1st. We have made it. We're into July. NFL's coming quickly. We actually have NFL football at the very end of this month. Wild how quickly this summer is coming, but we're talking baseball here. We got a nice slate on tap today. We're going to dive right into it. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, and come join us at LineStar. We do have a free trial option through Android or iOS app stores. Download LineStar app there and give us a tryout for free. Now, let's check in. We're going to first start by the perfect lineups and the winning lineups from yesterday. Then we will get into some pitchers to consider today and some stacks. Zach Wheeler went absolutely nuts. 64 fantasy points against my Padres. Man went 8 innings on 10 Ks, no earned runs. He gave up 6 hits. Guys were getting on base, but they just could not score versus him, and he put up a score nobody could touch. Then we had a 2-man Boston stack, 2-man Texas stack, and some one-offs to round it out with a 358.3 perfect lineup. And the winning lineup, 304 went to Density, who had Garrett Crochet, had a 3-man Baltimore stack, 4-man Boston, one off of Simeon. Pretty low owned stack. Went chalk at pitcher, and the chalk at pitcher didn't even really help them because he paid up for 39 points. But it was all about hitting yesterday. Wild that we have like NBA scoring for baseball last night. Congrats to Density. Now let's check over onto DraftKings. We got Kirby and Ryan Nelson as the 2 pitchers. Then it is all one-offs. Bunch of guys that hit homers, 1 or 2, and 244.7 was the total. 222.4 was the winning lineup. So pretty close to that perfect lineup here. We had Kirby, we had Crochet. We had a big-time Boston stack here with 5-man Boston, 2-man Texas, one off with Tampa Bay getting it done. Congrats to them. Now let's get into today's slate. See what we can uncover. Our high-owned pitchers for the day are Yamamoto, Matt Boyd, Jacob deGrom. Yamamoto, 10.8K, 25% owned versus the White Sox. Obviously a great spot and a guy that's been absolutely dealing. He's had a little bit of a rough outing over the last 5, but that was against the Yankees, against the Giants, against the Padres, even played in Colorado and still did decently there. All in all, I think he's in a decent spot here, and I don't mind getting to him. 3.61 FIP over the last 20 with a 26% K rate. StatCast data is good. Splits, you can't get better. Only issue here is he's averaging 42% less fantasy points at home. Now, I don't think that is a worry. To me personally, he put up 32 against Arizona, 34 against the Cubs at home, 2 of the premier offenses in the league. So I'm not worried about those home road splits. He obviously can get it done and has a huge ceiling at home, and he's versus the Chicago White Sox. So wheels up for Yamamoto. Next, we got Matt Boyd, 9K, 21% owned versus the Guardians. Look, the splits are great for Boyd. Guardians have not been able to hit lefties. However, I do worry about a 9K Matt Boyd. His FIPs are great, 3.63, 3.9 over the last 20 and over the last 5, but 16% K rate over the last 5. 23% over the last 20. So if we're getting the 23% Matt Boyd, he's, okay, but 9K is still expensive for a 23% K rate. I don't mind having a little bit. The splits are too good to not consider him. But Cleveland has had the better of him in the past, although haven't seen him in 2 years here. So all in all, 9K for a 19% combined K rate is a lot to ask. I'm not going to totally fade him because I don't really like pitching on this slate, but there are some other spots that I don't mind a little bit more than him. So maybe he is well under the 21% ownership for me, maybe around the 10%-ish. Jacob deGrom, 10.3K, 20% own versus the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles have started hitting, but deGrom has started being deGrom. 1.84 FIP and a 27% K rate over the last 5. That's over a 3.05 FIP and a 26% K rate over the last 20. StatCast data looks good. A lot of fly balls, but very, very little hard contact. So I don't mind the fly balls in that situation. Baltimore splits, they're good versus righties, but they do strike out a lot, and there's huge upside with Jacob deGrom's strikeout stuff. I think he's in a fine spot. I don't mind some deGrom. Next, we got Shane Baz, 8,800. Earlier today, he was a lower-owned option, so I did have it liked, and if he is low-owned, I definitely like it. We do have to worry about rain, though, in Tampa. It does look like there's going to be pop-ups all over the place. Now, this is just Tampa weather, so we're going to have to look at radars and stuff as we get a little closer to really know if there's chances of delays, if we're worried here. But all in all, I think Shane Baz is in a good spot. These A's have not been hitting very well. Baz has been dealing with a 3.49 FIP, 25% K rate. I'm here. I'm fine with some Shane Baz as long as radar looks decent, a little closer to first pitch. Next, Grant Holmes, 9.7K versus the Braves. Another spot where we do have to watch weather. I think they'll be able to play this game, but there is some worry. Thing with Grant Holmes is he has been way better at home, averaging 47% more fantasy points at home. His big-time games have been at home. He has 3.55 FIP and a 35% K rate over the last 5. He's been dealing. The upside does warrant his price. StatCast data is a little worrisome though. 39% fly balls, 35% hard contact. Angels hit the ball hard. However, splits are definitely in Holmes' favor here versus a team that will hit the ball hard but strikes out a lot and doesn't get on base a ton. As long as any home runs happen and they're solo shots, he is a fine play. 30% combined K rate, 9,700 is absolutely interesting. Dick Fitz, 5,500. If you want to go here because he's super cheap, I get it, but he's not in a great spot, and there's nice hitting weather, and there's weather concerns in Boston, so be warned there. Emerson Hancock, don't love. Let's get over to some pivots now. Tyler Anderson, 6,300 versus the Braves. Braves have been bad versus lefties, so I think we got to put Anderson up there just because of that alone. 4.59 FIP over his last 5, 5.11 over his last 20, around a 20% K rate. StatCast data is ugly. BVP data is ugly, so why do I want Tyler Anderson? When he's on, he has a high ceiling. He's only 6,300. Pitching today is a little bit tricky, a little bit tough. He is one of these guys I think that can get you over a 20 score at 6K, and I'm fine, going with that today. I don't think there's a lot of guys that give us big time upside today. And with that, I think paying down for Anderson makes a lot more sense. Braves hit the ball hard, so he's going to have to miss some bats here, but I'm a little interested. Next, we got Freddie Peralta, 9,300 versus the Mets. This is another game where we got to worry about weather. Pretty much the whole East Coast, we have to worry about weather today. So make sure you're looking at the weather port as we get closer to lock. 3.79 FIP over his last 20, 3.83 over the last 5. StatCast data is rough. A lot of fly balls, a lot of barrel balls. But we know Freddie P is one of the better pitchers in this game, and I don't mind getting a little bit when nobody's going there. You can do, Zach Wheeler was low-owned yesterday and went absolutely nuts in a tough spot. Freddie Peralta can too. Now, he is absolutely no Zach Wheeler, but he is, a solid pitcher and can get it done. So I don't mind having a little bit of him. Now, let's get over to FanDuel. Check our pitching here. Our high-owned, we got Holmes, we got deGrom, we got Yamamoto. Those 3 should be the highest owned on this slate. But you do need to consider Boyd, Baz, Peralta, even Anderson, I think, is in play here. all that Anderson needs to be the optimal, go 6 innings, get 5-6 Ks, and then have Holmes, DeGrom, Yamamoto not go absolutely nuts. I think that's very plausible. I mean, you're getting a huge salary savings at 7,600, and then you can stack, your Dodgers or Houston in Colorado and get a little different. If you're going that low owned of a pitcher, there's definitely some room to get different. Now, it's a risky play. Anderson's not the best pitcher in the world, but I don't mind a little bit of him in this spot. Now, let's get over to some stacks and see what we can figure out here. Our highest owned stacks of the day, we got Houston versus Chase Dollinger in Colorado. It's warm. Winds are blowing out. Absolutely love both Colorado teams, or both teams playing in Colorado today. And 77% owned isn't too high. Now, it is getting up there. That's, 15+% ownership on all 5 hitters type thing. But I think there's plenty of ways to get different. I wouldn't be fading them just because of that. Boston versus Brady Singer. Boston finally went nuts yesterday. These prospects were hitting. Don't mind getting a little more Boston in this spot versus Brady Singer. Brady Singer is decent, can have some solid games, but there's also some nice hitting weather in Boston. We do have to worry about that game playing, though. Highest projected, we got Houston, we got Arizona, and we got Dodgers. All 3 of them should be the highest projected. Hayden Birdsong is going against Arizona. He's a decent pitcher, but can get lit up. Arizona has plenty of bats that can make you pay. Dodgers versus anybody makes some sense, especially when the winds are blowing out and it's, mid-70s in LA. High high value, we got White Sox versus Yamamoto. I don't love it. If you want to get some, that's fine. I'm probably not going to play very much. Highest ceiling, we got Cubs, Dodgers, Baltimore, Seattle. Cubs versus Gavin Williams. Williams has been boom bust. His ERA is 2.6 over the last 5, but his FIP is 4.88. He's got a little bit lucky. That can easily swing versus a very, very good offense in the Cubs. Very interested in them. Baltimore versus DeGrom. Don't love facing DeGrom. Seattle versus Lorenzen. Lorenzen is a 5.69 FIP over his last 5. He's around average, maybe slightly below average MLB pitcher. You could definitely stack your Seattle bats versus them, but they do live and die on the home run. So that's your worry, is that they got to hit a lot of home runs. Mets popping up versus Freddie P. Freddie P hasn't been, quite himself this year, but he's still a solid pitcher. I don't mind a little bit of Mets, but I'm not going to go hard on them. That is for sure. Highest leverage. Milwaukee versus Clay Holmes. Think this makes a ton of sense. Don't mind some Milwaukee. Also, weather concerns in New York, so make sure the game's playing. But if there's an early delay and Holmes doesn't end up pitching very long, just helps Milwaukee a little bit more. You can go to the other side too with the Mets there. Cubs, we talked about. A's versus Shane Baz. Tampa Bay pitching has been absolutely dealing lately. I don't love going with the A's, who have been slumping, versus the good pitching, but I don't mind getting a little bit. Our high team totals now, we got Houston at 6, Atlanta at 5.4, and the Dodgers at 5.3. Boston at 5.1, Colorado and Tampa Bay at 5. Those are our highest implied totals. I think Houston makes a ton of sense. Braves don't really have the split advantage here, so maybe they are a little bit high priced here. Dodgers at 5.3. It's the Dodgers. We don't need to say anything. Boston 5.1. It isn't the easiest spot in the world, but we got nice hitting weather and they just went nuts, so maybe they got some confidence. Colorado versus Colton Gordon. I love 4.33 FIP over, his full body of work, and 4.69 over the last 5. Definitely am interested in some Colorado bats in Colorado. A little lower ownership than Houston. Same game environment. It's interesting. Tampa Bay versus Jeff Springs. Springs has been a little boom bust, and the bullpen behind him isn't great. Makes some sense. Cincinnati, like the spot against Dick Fitz. makes a ton of sense to me. Arizona and San Francisco are interesting. Zach Gallen has been straight up poor lately. San Francisco's not going to get a ton of look, and they probably should be. Just keep picking on Zach Gallen right now. Poor bullpen behind him. Makes a ton of sense to go that way. We covered Cubs. We covered Seattle. Both of those are interesting. Angels, you got some leverage versus Grant Holmes, who can give up the long ball, and Angels hit the long ball. So they can tee up a couple, and it starts to look super interesting for those stacks there. Now, everything else down here, I don't mind a little bit. I don't mind some KC. Emerson Hancock really hasn't been that good. The bullpen behind him is very good. But if they can put up 5-6 runs against Hancock, then the KC stacks start to look super interesting, and I don't mind a little bit of that. So that's going to do it for us today, guys. We'll be back with more. You all have a good one. Talk to you soon. Peace.